Rise and shine, Sammy. I'm Jourdan. Welcome to Let's Rewatch It Again. Today we are rewatching Supernatural Season 3, Episode 11, Mystery Spot. This was the first ever episode I ever saw of Supernatural, but I only saw a teensy little clip of Sam Winchester holding an axe and trying to break down a wall, and then something a little bit too gory for me at the time happened, and I was like, oh my god, I can't watch this show. It's too much for me. It's just too much. Cut to about a year later, I open my laptop at college. I'm signed into my iTunes, and all of a sudden, seasons 2 and 3 of Supernatural begin downloading themselves onto my laptop. I can't make it stop. I don't know how to make it stop, but they're all downloading so very, very slowly. And I mean, it was the kind of thing where I'm looking through all of them. Everything is gray, but I can just see titles. I call my sister and she says, oh yeah, well, we're all signed in the same iTunes and the desktop computer was full. So I guess it just did it to yours. Oh my God. So a show I have never seen before, I now own and have access to almost 2 full seasons. Very slowly, I might add. I was at least able to kind of control the order, and I decided to choose a very odd episode of Croatoan, mostly because I liked the sound of the name, because of that colonial story of Croatoan where the entire village disappears and we have no idea what happened to them. I assumed that's what it was going to be about. It wasn't, which is a little disappointing for me personally. It became about something completely different and I had no idea what was going on. But it was just enough of a crazy story to make me want to understand, who are these boys? What is going on in their world? What are all these demons running around? And what is happening? Also, that episode wasn't too scary for me, so I decided to dive in. Now, many years later, I'm completely obsessed with Supernatural. Absolutely love it. And if you don't know anything about Supernatural, you may have seen several GIFs all over the internet of Sammy, Dean, and a character we don't meet until season 4, Castiel. Before we continue on, I'm just going to say, if you enjoy watching this podcast here, I'm going to upload at least 3 episodes a month to this channel. So if you enjoy watching these or just experiencing my voice, my face, hit the subscribe, hit the like button. And hey, if you made it this far into the video, give me a little fire and clock emoji down below. You'll see why in a little bit. I also like to upload shorts of TV shows and movies I'm currently rewatching just for fun, not related to the podcast necessarily, just a little fun for me personally. Now, before we press play, y'all need to understand how we got here. Sam and Dean Winchester are monster hunters. They were raised by their father on the road, chasing after the creature that killed their mother. A yellow-eyed demon that gave Sam some demon blood. And I know that sounds very, oh my God, but Sam has powerful visions. And unfortunately, because of these powerful visions, this yellow-eyed demon was creating an army. And in creating that army, he was trying to create the leader of the army, which he wanted to be Sam. And in the process, Sam got killed. And then Dean sold his soul to a Cross Blues demon. But because he's Dean Winchester, he didn't get the same deal as most humans do. Instead of 10 years, he got 1 year. So we are currently on the timeline of the 1-year contract that Dean has to live for the rest of his life, 1 full year before he goes to hell. So all of season 3 is the boys trying to save Dean's life, and we are on a ticking time bomb. We don't have a whole lot of time left, and we still have no idea how to keep Dean from going to hell at the end of this year. Instead of a previously on Supernatural, we get a then moment on the screen. Today's recap lets us know again about the 1-year timeline and that Dean does not want to go to hell, and he's going to try his hardest to not allow that to happen. We are also reminded about Ruby, a blonde demon who is kinda sorta not really friends with the boys. It's always unclear whose side she's really on, except for her own, of course. Now, Heat of the Moment by Asia awakens Sammy in a motel room. Let me just tell you right here, I wish I could use this soundbite every single time this happens. I'm going to do my best to find a different soundbite to use so that you know every single time that Sammy awakens on this day. Yeah, I kind of spoiled it for you already, but here we go. Rise and shine, Sammy. Dean raises the volume when Sam says that he hates the song, heat of the moment. Not a good sign. So as the boys are brushing their teeth, we see how different they are. Just a little bit of details about the boys, that Dean is reckless and messy, and Sam is very neat and put together and very serious. Now who's ready for some breakfast? Because we're about to go into a diner that we need to take note of all the little quotes of dialogue and the details that we see. As they walk in, the cashier says to a man named Mr. Pickett to drive safely. And Mr. Pickett says, yeah. The waitress named Doris tells a boy named Cal that he can't stay unless he orders something. You know the rules. And we hear him slide coins across the counter and say, coffee. Sam and Dean sit down in a booth, and Dean says, hey, Tuesday, pig in a poke. And Sam's like, do you even know what that is? And you know what? I looked it up. So in medieval market days, the gullible might buy a pig in a poke, which is a pig in a cloth sack. I really hate the sound of that, but we're going to keep moving. Without checking that the content really is a valuable piglet, the person usually got home with a worthless cat. The thing that I looked up did not tell me whether it was alive or not, because I'm like, if it was a cat, I feel like we would know that it was definitely a cat in there. Anywho's. So a pig in a poke is considered a con job or a worthless object presented as a thing of value. Letting the cat out of the bag, in a sense, is the revealing of a secret. Comes from spoiling that same scam. But we're going to talk more about that later. For right now, the boys are ordering Dean, the special, with a side of bacon, coffee, black, and Sam orders a short stack. Then they discuss normal day things like they want the Colt, they don't know where Bella is, and in the meantime, they have a job to do. Dexter Hasselback was passing through this town last week when he vanished. His daughter claims he was on the way to visit the mystery spot. Sam hands Dean a pamphlet that reads, Where the laws of physics have no meaning. And according to trivia that I looked up, all of this math is actually geometry and not physics. I do not know anything about that. I cannot math, so we're just going to trust it. Doris returns with their coffees and accidentally drops the hot sauce that she was bringing for the special, and it shatters all over the floor. After breakfast, the boys pass a golden retriever as they discuss the mystery spot, and Dean believes that it's most likely nothing more than a tourist trap. Sam insists that if there are spots in the world that just open up and swallow people, oh my God, the Bermuda Triangle, Oregon Vortex, which I have never heard of before, and sometimes these places are legit. Dean doesn't agree, but asks about the lore, all right, fine, researcher, tell me why this is fascinating. A blonde girl bumps into his shoulder and says, excuse me. Sam says the lore claims the magnetic field in these places is so strong that it can bend space and time. Wow. They pass two guys trying to move a grand piano, and one of them is like, I told you it wouldn't fit, and the other one's like, what do you want, a Pulitzer? Okay. Sam says he's not sure if anything is really happening at the mystery spot, but they need to check it out anyways. And Dean says they'll go tonight after close and take a nice long look. That night, the boys enter the mystery spot. It looks very cheesy. There's furniture nailed to the ceiling, just like they expected. There's also a lime green wall with a huge swirl leading to the door. It's all very cutesy, definitely tourist trappy, but wouldn't that be the exact place where you would hide something real? I don't know. It just seems like a really good idea. Hide it in plain sight. As the boys look around, a panicked voice asks what they're doing here, and it's a man in a terrible paisley shirt, holding a shotgun, and asks if they're robbing him. Before the boys get him to calm down, he actually shoots Dean, and Dean dies in Sam's arms as Sam says, no, not like this. We get our Supernatural title sequence, and then Heat of the Moment by Asia. Rise and shine, Sammy. And Sammy's like, what? Asia? He's like, yeah, you love this song. You know it. And Sam is totally freaked out. He's like, this is the same thing that happened yesterday. What? And while they're brushing their teeth, again, Dean asks if he's okay. And Sam's like, yeah, I just had a really weird dream. And then Dean says, yeah, clowns are midgets. Okay. At the diner, the cashier again tells Mr. Pickett to drive safely, and Mr. Pickett again says, yeah, yeah. And then we hear again that Cal knows the rules and he can't stay unless he orders something. And he pushes coins across the counter and says, coffee. As they sit down, Dean again says, hey, Tuesday, pig in a poke. We zoom in on Dean's face as he says this with a giant smile. And now Sam is officially freaked out, 100%. There's no going back. Doris asks what they want and Dean orders the same thing. And Sam is just like, nothing for me. He's so distraught. The conversation they had the morning before begins to repeat itself, and Sam asks if Dean remembers anything like this happening before. And Dean is like deja vu? No, like it's really happened before. Like deja vu. No, forget about deja vu. I'm asking you if it feels like we are living the same day again. And Dean gets really confused and goes, okay, but how is that not? Don't say it. Just don't. I can't. Then Doris shows up with coffee, black, and some hot sauce for the whoops crap. And just as the hot sauce is falling off of the tray, Sam catches it. And she's like, oh, thanks. And Dean smiles at her and goes, hey, nice reflexes. Such a great moment for everyone but Sam. Sam can't even respond. He just clenches his jaw and shifts his eyes back and forth, all panicked. Outside, they pass the barking dog again. Dean is like, Sam, I'm sorry, but I just don't understand what's going on here. And Sam is like, okay, look, yesterday was Tuesday, but today is Tuesday too, which is exactly a gif that everybody loves to use. Yeah, good, you're totally balanced, so you don't believe me. The blonde bumps into Dean again and says, excuse me, just like yesterday. And Sam looks back at the girl as Dean says, I'm just saying it's crazy. Even crazy for us, like dingo ate my baby crazy. Then Dean suggests that maybe it's a psychic premonition, like the power that he got from the yellow-eyed demon. And Sam is like, no, this is way too vivid. And then he says that yesterday they were at the mystery spot and then what? Then I woke up. Yeah, I don't think I would tell him either. At this point, I don't know if it's important for Dean to know exactly how yesterday played out. As long as we do differently today, then who knows? Maybe it was just a really vivid, intense dream. The piano guys are struggling yet again. What do you want, a Pulitzer? And so then Sam says, wait a minute, the mystery spot. Do you think it maybe what? We got to check that place out. Dean says they'll go tonight after it closes and take a nice long look. What? No. Oh my God. And he's like, oh, why not? Let's just go right now. Business hours. Nice and crowded. And then Dean shakes his head and says, my God, you're a freak. Dean steps out into the street and bam, he's hit by a car. Sam runs to Dean and sees Mr. Pickett was driving the car. You know, the guy that the cashier told to drive safely. And Dean dies again. Rise and shine, Sammy. It's happening again. Hey, Tuesday, pig in a poke. Would you listen to me, Dean? Because I'm flipping out. The day is repeating yet again. Doris asks them again if they're ready. And then Sam immediately just says, he'll take the special, side of bacon, coffee black, nothing for me, thanks. And Dean leans back and goes, Sammy, I get all tingly when you take control like that. Okay, we're just going to take a quick pause in all the mania. Dean, you are brothers. I swear, the writers forget that these two men are brothers all the time. And it's like they think it's funny to joke and flirt between brothers. It's so insanely creepy, okay? It's just, I would never make a joke like that with my sister, and we are super close. We are arguably as close as Sam and Dean, and I would never, ever joke with her like that because it's just gross. Moving on. Sam tells him to quit messing around, and he's like, okay, so what? You think you're in some kind of time loop? Like Groundhog Day. Yes, exactly. Uh-huh. So clearly Dean does not believe Sam. I mean, it's a little hard to believe. And he's like, it's just a little crazy, and then Sam finishes for him, dingo ate my baby crazy. How did you know I was going to say that? Because you said it before, Dean. That's my whole point. Coffee, black, and some hot sauce for the whoops crap. And this time we get an above shot view of Sam catching the hot sauce with a deadpan face. Nice reflexes. No, I knew it was going to happen. Okay, look, you're just going to have to go with me on this, Dean. You have to. You owe me that much. Again, Dean does not know that he dies at the end of this day, or on this day, I should say, because how would he know that? Sam is the one reliving it. Sam has zero chill right now. Dean tells him to calm down. He says, don't tell me to calm down. I can't calm down. I can't because... Sam looks away and he's like, because you died today, Dean. And Dean is really confused by this because he's like, I'm not going to die. Not today. Like I said, there's a timeline. So in a way, he kind of doesn't have to worry until that 365th day. Before that, everything's like hunky-dory. And then Sam says twice, I've watched you die and I can't. And finally, Dean begins to believe him. And he's like, okay, I still think you're nuts, but whatever this is, we'll figure it out. Again, we have our sequence of events. Dog barking, blonde girl bumps into Dean, the piano guys. And Dean is asking Sam, so you think this tourist trap has something to do with it? And Sam is like, I think it's the real deal. Which, honestly, it kind of sounds like it might be. I don't know why they would call it the mystery spot, but maybe it happens differently for each person that gets stuck in this time loop. And then Dean says it sounds a little too X-Files for me. And Sam is so distraught. He's like, well, I don't know how else to explain it, Dean. All right. And then again, Dean says, all right, we'll go tonight after it closes and takes a nice long look. Wait, no, we can't. Why not? Because, and Dean's like, what? I die there? Blown away, actually. Huh. Okay, let's go now. Just as he turns around and begins to step out into the street, Sam grabs Dean before he gets hit by Mr. Pickett, and Dean laughs and then realizes, oh, wait, did he? Yeah, yesterday. Well, in a way, every day is today and also yesterday, if you think about it. And Dean's like, and what? Did it look cool like in the movies? Sam rolls his eyes and says, you peed yourself. Like I said, he has zero chill about this. There's just no sense of humor left in Sam, which is a true shame because this is so not even close to being over. And Dean gets annoyed and says, well, yeah, man gets hit by a car. You think he has full control over his bladder? Come on. They look both ways and keep moving. At the mystery spot during business hours, the boys pose as journalists talking to the owner, Mr. Karpiak. And Mr. Karpiak says that his family has been guarding the secrets of this place since you don't even want to know when. And so they ask him if he would notice if something strange happened. And he's like, strange happens here all the time. It's the mystery spot. Okay, calm down. And Sam asks him, what exactly does that mean? He's like, well... And then you see him pause and see a moment for marketing. And he goes, it's where the laws of physics have no meaning. Like how? I mean, Sam, reel it in. And then he tells them to take the tour. And then they ask about, oh yeah, Dexter Hasselback, the guy that went missing. Did he take the tour? And this is where Mr. Karpiak starts to get nervous. And he's like, what kind of article is this? Mr. Karpiak says the police searched every inch of this place and have never seen him before. We're a family establishment. Sam leans in close and says, listen to me. There's something weird going on. Do you know anything about it or not? Okay, look, guys, I can't. This is a lot. This man is clearly not legit. He knows he's not. Like, unclench, take a breath. And Mr. Karpiak is truly nervous now. And Dean pulls Sam away and is like, okay, Kojak, let's get some air. We do get a really weird shot of the camera zooming in on Mr. Karpiak's face, and he kind of exhales in relief, which is so odd. First of all, why did we need to see that? Second of all, what? What is this guy really? Like, who is this man? Dean says this whole place is just full of crap, and Sam is just out of luck now. He's like, so what is happening then? What is happening to us? Why am I stuck like this? Dean suggests that if maybe they keep him from dying, the time loop stops. Oh, that sounds so easy, right? So they say it's worth a shot. They decide to grab some takeout, head back to the motel, lay low until midnight. Sam looks panicked and uncomfortable, and he's like, okay, sure. Good. Who wants Chinese? Dean steps forward, and a piano from earlier falls on top of him. And Sam looks up at the piano guys, and we get a terrible shot of Dean's legs sticking out from underneath the piano like this is Wizard of Oz. And of course, Sam lays back exhausted like, oh my God. We skip right ahead of all the nonsense to Dean believing Sam and saying they're gonna figure out whatever is going on here. Thank goodness, because even though Sam is having to deal with this repeat, as viewers, we can only handle so much of that. I think we keep just enough of it in this episode to keep it interesting, slightly funny, and unnerving all at the same time. So the camera pans in a circle behind Sam and then stays on Dean and says, if you're stuck in Groundhog Day, why? And I really love that because even though it's Sam that's stuck, in a way, Dean is stuck in a perpetual spot of ignorance is bliss. Like, he has no idea that they're repeating, and he's the one that is also a victim here. He's the one that dies every single day. He just doesn't have the ability to remember it, and we don't know why. But poor Sam is a victim in a completely different way, in that he is experiencing the loss of his brother over and over and over again, and he retains the memory of each of those deaths. I can't even imagine. So Dean asks what they should do, and Sam says, we try to keep you breathing and make it to tomorrow. I mean, honestly, what else can they do? And Dean's like, all right, shouldn't be too hard. And Sam's like, yeah, right. I've watched you die a few times now, and I don't know how to stop it. And then Dean's like, well, nothing's set in stone. You say I order the same thing every day? Let's try and change that. And then he tells Doris, excuse me, sweetheart, can I get sausages instead of bacon? As if one tiny detail is going to fix this whole problem. And Doris says, sure thing, hun. I actually really like Doris, I gotta say. And then Dean is like, see, totally different day. Okay. And then Dean says, you see, if you and I decide I'm not gonna die today, I'm not gonna die today. And unfortunately, Dean takes a giant bite of sausage and chokes on it. From inside the shower, Dean asks Sam, you mean we can't even go out for breakfast? And Sam is looking out the window like a panicked child. And he's like, you'll thank me when it's Wednesday. And Dean's like, okay, whatever that means. And then as we are looking at Sam, watch out the window for something scary, Dean screams and we hear a thud from the shower. The boys are eating at the motel table when Dean asks Sam, do these tacos taste funny to you? Dean electrocutes himself, plugging something in. And we then cut to this first scene I ever saw of Supernatural, Sam holding an axe trying to chop through a wall at the mystery spot. And oh my God, poor Dean is trying to reassure Mr. Karpiak that everybody's fine. Nobody's going to get hurt. It's okay. And Mr. Karpiak is completely wound in duct tape all around his body. Even his mouth has been duct taped shut. And Sam has lost it. I understand, but he's truly lost it. And then Dean's like, Sammy, maybe we should drop the axe and let this guy go. Okay? And Sam is like, no! One of my favorite things is when Sam gets super intense because he just sounds like a young puppy getting angry. And that develops better as he gets older in the show and in real life, but there's just so much about Sam that is like sad puppy dog energy that when he gets angry, it's like a golden retriever getting upset. And he points the axe and growls, I intend to find out what's going on. And Dean's like, you already tore the place apart. Let's give it a rest. And he goes, I'm going to take it down to studs. And Dean's like, okay. And he gets up and goes, Sammy, give me the axe. Now, here's the thing. We keep the camera on Mr. Karpiak and we can hear Sam and Dean arguing and beginning to tussle behind the camera. So they're like, give me it. No, you give me it. Leave it. No, come on. And then we hear a sickening slice and blood splatters all over Mr. Karpiak. And he's like, and Dean? We're back in the diner. Sam hands over the old man's keys and says, trust me, you don't want me behind the wheel. Okay, Sam, when do you ever get to drive, by the way? Like, there's no expectation of you driving today or like any day because Dean is the driver. We all know this. Like, it's so rare that you ever drive. Like, take it down a notch. Then Doris comes up and asks so sweetly, because this is her first Tuesday as far as she knows, and says, "What would you like?" And Sam goes, "You know what, Doris? You know what I'd really like? It's for you to log some more hours at the archery range. You're a terrible shot." Archery? Okay. And she's like, "How do you know?" "Lucky guess." And Dean just smiles politely at Doris like, "Girl, I don't know." Again, Sam has told Dean what's going on, and I have to say, I don't really think we're gaining anything from Dean understanding what's going on here. I really don't think we are. I mean, I don't know if Sam has told him every single day that this is happening, but clearly, if you're repeating the same Tuesday and you're repeating it in a similar manner, it's not working. Like, you're not changing enough of the details. You're not driving out of town. I don't even know. It's just kind of ridiculous. And then Dean says he's grumpy, and Sam reveals that he is on his 100th Tuesday in a row, and it never stops, ever. Okay, I'm beginning to understand why he's so upset. He proves this by yet again catching the hot sauce when Doris drops it. Nice reflexes. I knew it was going to happen, Dean. I know everything that's going to happen. You don't know everything. Yeah, I do. Then they start speaking in sync, as in together, not the boy band from the 2000s. And he's like, "Nice guess. Right, you're a mind reader. Cut it out, Sam. Sam." Then our camera gives us a side view as they both lean in at the exactly the same time and say together, "You think you're funny, but you're being really childish." Then even faster, they both say, "Sam Winchester wears makeup." And then they lean back each time they finish a sentence and then come back in for more. And then Dean and Sam, again, are speaking in tandem, which makes it sound very surround sound and echoey. And Dean and Sam together say, "Sam Winchester cries his way through sex." And then they start to go into something even more embarrassing and say, "Sam Winchester keeps a ruler by the bed. And every morning when he wakes up, he break off and wave both arms saying, 'Okay, enough.'" And Sam reveals he knows everything about the diner. He knows that Randy, the cashier, is skimming from the register. Okay, Randy, not cool, man. That Judge Myers puts on a furry bunny costume every night. What? And Judge Myers is behind Dean in the background. He hears them say this and he drops his milkshake on the counter. And over there, that's Cal. He's going to rob Tony the mechanic on this way home. And Dean is like, "What's your point?" "My point is, I've lived through every possible Tuesday. I've watched you die every possible way. I've ripped the mystery spot apart. I've burned it down, tried everything to save your life, and I can't. No matter what I do, you die, then I wake up." As they walk down the street, Sam reports each thing as it happens. Dog, Mr. Pickett saying, "Where's my dang keys?" Which is interesting because I don't usually remember Mr. Pickett in the middle of all that nonsense saying, "Where's my dang keys?" I always remember the dog, the blonde, and the piano. I don't usually remember that Mr. Pickett is in the mix of all that. I don't know why, but I just don't. It's one of those odd things. And Dean claims there has to be a way to stop it. And the blonde bumps into Dean and he goes, "Hey, she's kind of cute. Hey, all the times we walk down this street, did I ever do this?" And then he runs back and talks to the blonde, which, yeah, how has he never done that before? And she's holding a flyer with the missing professor on it because that's her father. Sam, how out of 100 Tuesdays have you missed this detail? All right, now unfortunately, Sam goes to talk to the blonde, and while he's doing that, Dean gets distracted by the dog, goes over, and this time, Sam brings a laptop to the diner because we've got a new lead. The professor was also a journalist who wrote about tourist attractions. While Sam is saying all this, the man at the counter eating pancakes gets up and leaves, but we're still focused on Sam's face. But it's a detail that we don't normally see in our little sequence here. And then Sam says that he's read everything the professor has ever written, and Dean is like, "When did you have time to do all this?" And thank God we skipped the moment where we're trying to prove the time loop today because I just can't deal with it. It's just too much. Dean says that it's funny that a guy who craps all over tourist traps, like a mystery spot, gets stuck in one. And he goes, "It's kind of poetic, like just desserts." And as they're standing up, Sam pulls on his backpack and goes, "Yeah, you're right. That is just desserts." And he notices the man at the counter used a different syrup today. What? And Dean is like, "Who cares what kind of syrup he eats? What?" And he says, "Nothing in this place ever changes. Nothing except for me." And that was a different heat of the moment, I have to say, because we heard a snap before it happened, which is not something that's ever happened on our Tuesdays. So this is interesting. And Sam slowly sits up in bed like the rising dead. And I have to say, who sits up in bed like that? How? I mean, I understand that clearly he has this core strength to sit up that way because, oh my God, who is able to sit up without using their elbows, hands, or whatever? But like, what? And again, we get to hear Dean say, "Rise and shine, Sammy." Pancake Counterman has gone back to maple syrup today. When he gets up, Sam pulls out a brown paper bag and follows him, and Dean runs after him, but he does throw money on the table, which is very nice. Sam pins maple syrup guy to a chain link fence and holds a sharpened stake at his neck. And the guy is begging for his life as Sam says he's figured out who or what he is. And again, Dean has no idea what's going on. He's like, what is happening here? And Sam claims that there's only one creature powerful enough to do what you're doing, make a reality out of nothing, sticking people in time loops. You'd have to be a god. You'd have to be a trickster. And the guy's like, "Please don't kill me. I'm blah, blah, from blah, 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 and I go to blah, blah, blah." And he's like, "We've killed one of your kind before." And then the man morphs into the trickster that we thought we killed in season 2. It's also one of my favorite episodes of season 2. I almost considered doing that one today, but I don't know. I just really love heat of the moment of this episode. So I skipped ahead to this one. And Sam asks him, "Why are you doing this?" And he's like, "You tried to kill me last time. Why wouldn't I do this?" Also, the trickster thinks that absolutely everything is funny. He has never lost the humor in his life. And he does not seem scared at all, by the way, which is interesting. And then Dean asks him about Hasselback, and Trickster says that he claimed not to believe in wormholes, so I dropped him in one. I can't. I'm sorry. I really like the Trickster. I know that sounds insane, but spoilers, we do encounter him again. And I just have to say right now, I love him. He's one of my favorite characters of the entire show. And the Trickster laughs and says that he knew he had them the second they stepped in town. And Sam's like, "So this is fun for you? Killing Dean over and over again?" And the Trickster, we are so close on his face as he says, "This is so not about killing Dean." Well, then what? And he says, "This joke is about you, Sam. Watching your brother die every day, forever. How long will it take you to realize you can't save your brother, no matter what?" And he goes, "Oh, really? I kill you. This all ends now." And then finally we get a little bit of panic from the Trickster, and he's like, "Okay, look, I was just playing around. Tomorrow when you wake up, it'll be Wednesday. I swear." "You're lying." "If I am, you know where to find me, at the diner, eating pancakes." "That seems to be true. Okay." And he goes, "No, it's just easier to kill you." And the Trickster's like, "Can't have that." And he crosses his arms and snaps with both fingers, and we wake up to a different song today, "Back in Time." And Sam sits up and he's like, "No, Asia." And Dean is like, "Yeah, I know. The station sucks." And then Sam is like, "It's Wednesday. It's the most beautiful song you've ever heard in your life." "No. How many Tuesdays did you have?" "Too many." "Wait, what do you remember?" Then Dean says that, "I remember you were pretty whacked out yesterday, and then we ran into the Trickster." "All right, good. Pack up your stuff. We're getting out of town." "No breakfast?" "No breakfast." As Dean is packing up the car, a man comes up behind him with a gun, and Dean is like, "Okay, let's just stay calm. Nobody wants this to end badly. We're okay here." And the guy is like, "I am calm. I'm totally relaxed." And then we go inside the hotel room to Sam, and he hears a gunshot. And Dean is dead. No waking up this time. And the music is heartbreaking. If I didn't know any better, I would think he's truly dead. Oh gosh. And then we get a montage that is super intense revenge plot music overlaid with Bobby leaving messages on Sam's phone. And we get a little text at the bottom of the screen that says it's been 6 months. So for 6 months, he's been on the hunt for the Trickster, meanwhile killing every single monster that accidentally or was dumb enough to cross his path. And I mean, Sam has lost every bit of emotion in his body. It's like he's completely shut down. We even get this gut-wrenching scene of Sam going into a motel room, plucking a bullet out of his side and stitching himself up in the mirror. Whoa. I mean, He's become completely obsessed. His motel room wall, which apparently he has kind of like booked himself a single room for who knows how long, is completely covered in like articles and posters and pictures, all trying to figure out how to find and kill the trickster. Then Bobby calls, claiming to have found it. And Sam shows up and Bobby tries to hug him, and Sam doesn't even lift his arms. He just stands there. He really is like the Walking Dead, which is interesting because I feel like each time he rose out of bed, it's like he was rising up from the grave, and now he's just the Walking Dead. I don't know. That may be just something I am seeing as I watch the episode every time, but it definitely seems to mean more than just the regular sitting up in bed. Bobby says he found a summoning ritual to bring the trickster back to the last place he pulled a trick. Sounds pretty legit. Sam asks what they need, and Bobby says they need near a gallon of blood, fresh. And Sam understands that they have to bleed a person nearly dry. Dear God, saying it like that. Bobby claims it has to be tonight or not for another 50 years. Interesting. Without hesitation, Sam says, good, let's go out and get some. And Bobby doesn't move. He's like, you're breaking my heart, kid. I'm not going to let you murder an innocent man. Then why'd you bring me here? And then Bobby says it's the only way that he could get Sam to see him or even talk to him. And he thought he could knock some sense into him. He never thought that he would decide to kill a man all to find the trickster and bring his brother back. And he's like, well, you thought wrong. Leave the stuff. I'll do it myself. And Bobby says, I told you, I'm not going to let you kill anyone. And then again, Sam gets his angry voice back and says, it's none of your business what I do. And Bobby's like, you want your brother back so bad? Better me than a civilian. And he pulls a knife out of his bag and hands it to Sam. Oh, okay. And Sam's like, I'm not killing you. Oh, now I'm the crazy one. And then Bobby says, I'm old. I'm coming to the end of my trail. You can keep fighting, saving people, but you need your brother. Let me give him back to you. And while he's saying all of this, Sam is watching him talk. There's no expression with Sam. It's just this dead rage that has clearly overtaken his entire being. And Bobby says that the boy is the closest thing that he has to family, and he wants to do this. And Sam takes the knife. Bobby kneels down, facing away from him, and says to make it quick, and even shuts his eyes. Like, honestly, every time I see this scene, I just cannot believe this is happening. I can't. And then Sam says, okay, I'll do it. But you want to know why? Because you're not Bobby. And then he stabs Bobby in the spine with the stake that he originally had to stab the trickster with way back when. And then Bobby dies, face down on the floor, with the stake sticking out of his back. This panic goes on just a little bit too long as Sam begins to realize maybe he really did kill Bobby. And then Bobby vanishes. And the trickster's like, you were right. I was just messing with you. You're good though, Sam. And he's holding up the stake. How is this not killing him? If all the lore points back to this is exactly what we need to kill this creature, why has it not worked? What is the deal? How do you destroy a trickster? And how do you stop him from ruining your life? And then Sam is like, bring him back. And the trickster says, Dean, he's dead. He ain't coming back. And this time the trickster is not laughing. And he's very serious in this moment. As serious as we ever see the trickster get. Sam is beginning to cry now. And he's like, just take us back to that Tuesday, Wednesday, when it all started. Please, we won't come after you. I swear. I mean, this puppy dog face is so tragic. I mean, just do it, trickster. Come on. And the trickster's like, oh, really? Yes. And the trickster's like, I don't know. Even if I could, you can. Well, sure. But that doesn't mean I should. Sam, there's a lesson here. I've been trying to drill into that freakish skull of yours. And Sam is like, a lesson? Yeah, this obsession you have to save Dean, saving each other, constantly sacrificing yourselves for one another. Nothing good comes of it. The bad guys know it. You're each other's weakness. And then he says it's going to be the death of Sam. Which, I mean, he already feels kind of... What life is he living right here? Is he even alive right now without Dean? And Sam's like, he's my brother. Yep, and like it or not, this is what life's going to be like without him. Oh, and Sam was like, please, just, please. I mean, he's completely exhausted. I don't think he slept longer than 4 hours at a time at this point. That puppy dog face is truly compelling, you have to admit. And he says, you know what? This all stopped being fun months ago. I'm over it. Meaning what? Meaning that's for me to know and you to find out. The trickster snaps and Sam's eyes open again to back in time. So we're back at Wednesday. Not the Tuesday we keep repeating, but Wednesday. And then Dean asks him, you gonna sleep all day? Sam is like, and he looks at the clock radio and Dean's like, I know, no Asia. This station sucks. And Sam's like, it's Wednesday. And then he gets up and hugs Dean and he's like almost crying again, just shaking and hugging his brother. And Dean is like, dude, how many Tuesdays did you have? And Sam keeps hugging him and says, enough. Wait, what do you remember? I remember you were pretty whacked out yesterday and I remember running into the trickster. All right, good. Let's get out of here. All right, I'll pack up the car. No. And then Sam says that Dean is not going anywhere by himself. Dean is like, it's the parking lot, Sam. And he's like, just trust me. They pack up their stuff. And as they're leaving, Dean is like, you know, you don't look so good. Are you okay? And Sam says, yeah, I just had a really weird dream. Very interesting that we are not sharing this with Dean right now. And Dean is trying to keep it light. He goes, yeah, clowns are midgets. And Sam is trying not to cry, so he doesn't even answer. He won't even look at him. And Dean just leaves the room. And as Sam turns to leave, he looks at the entire hotel room, the unmade bed that he woke up in at least 100 times in a row. Arguably more times than he's probably ever waken up in a bed in his entire life. Like the same one. Because they grew up traveling from motel to motel. And they had a house when they were young, but they basically stopped living in it once their mother was gone. Sam turns off the light, and that's the end of our episode. Whew, I mean, honestly, this episode is one of those considered to be really humorous and a catchy moment of heat of the moment, and it's funny, and there's lots of GIFs from it, like, yesterday was Tuesday, today is Tuesday too. And it's like this whole funny thing, but at the same time, it's a truly tragic episode. Oh, truly tragic. Very nice. Truly tragic Tuesday. Oh gosh, I heard it. And now we're going to take it back to Dean's order at the diner, pig and a poke. It's an expression that often refers to an item that's being represented in a way that conceals its true value. And I feel like that is kind of what we're encountering with this mystery spot. This is a reference to, in my opinion, the trickster himself, and not like we came to town expecting we were going to find a missing man, which we never found, by the way. And now it's almost like, was Dexter Hasselback even missing to begin with? Or was that all part of the trickster's story? Or did the trickster really make that man disappear and then Sam and Dean showed up and he was like, oh, goody. It's hard to say. But I do think it's interesting that this is one of the very rare episodes where the job remains unfinished. I think it might be one of the only jobs that they ever don't complete before leaving town, at least in this way. This is actually Jared Padalecki, who plays Sam, his least favorite episode to film because he basically had to cry for a week solid, and that was emotionally taxing. I can't even imagine. Also, I think it would be a really difficult episode to film and act your way through because you're speaking the same dialogue in the same tone, in the same manner, except for a few differences every once in a while. Especially Sam, who has to react differently every single time. And I can't even imagine what it was like to film this episode, edit it, and all of those things coming together, because you have to make sure you have the correct Tuesday or Wednesday every moment of every second. And I want to say a little more about the trickster. I did mention that we're going to see him again. And he is a character that is, I'm going to say, recurring. And he recurs in different ways. And each time he shows up, I feel like he leaves his mark on the episode in a different way than most creatures do. He's not like Ruby, who's, in my opinion, super annoying. I can't stand Ruby. Or Meg, who's absolutely terrifying. The trickster is very unique. I feel like he has a special interest in the boys. And I'm not going to explain why I do believe he has a special interest because it gives you giant spoilers moving forward. So I'm just going to leave you with that. If this is the only Supernatural episode you've ever seen or even heard about, I strongly encourage you to go back and listen to our pilot episode, The Woman in White. It's from a couple of months ago, and it's a pretty good pilot, if I do say myself. This is the kind of show that is a monster of the week. However, it does have a lot of overarching storylines, so that in a way you pretty much do have to watch it in order. So I would recommend going back to the beginning. So go back and look for that if you need more Winchester Brothers, which I usually do. And if you made it all the way here in the YouTube video, comment below and tell me which of the boys is your favorite. My personal favorite is Dean. My best friend loves Sam, which is good because we don't have to fight over them. I sincerely hope you have enjoyed watching this episode. If you want to reach out to me, you can find me at our email address at letsrewatchitagain@gmail.com. You can also find us on Instagram at letsrewatchitagain, and we're on YouTube. So if you're not watching this, you're listening to it, you can go watch it. And until the next Tuesday, I'll catch you on the flippity flip.